Why vinyl, right? You said all the things vinyl means, and you call it. Let me go to my notes over here. The superior audio transcript vinyl. Um,
Yeah.
Go into that. Why vinyl?
Well, for me, it rooted in needing to touch something, um, and not look at a blinking screen. Like when you're in a radio station and you have an automated playlist going, anytime that they're coming up on the end of a track or switching to an ad break, whatever, you're always going to see a flashing thing that's just like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, well, I don't want to pay attention to you. I want to pay attention to my surroundings. I don't want to be staring at a screen, because then all my feelings and all of my like external senses are then muted, and I can't handle that internally. And so I needed something that I could like touch. I could be hands-on, and be moving. And so that's why vinyl, why it started with me. But as I learned so much more, that being said, that's never going to change. That's always reason one for me. But reason two is it is the medium that musicians and artists get, like, quote unquote real money from. And it is, as a music enthusiast, it's very important that artists are being compensated, or we don't get their art. Like, people need to be paid for their time. And so that was like a secondary thing that has led me down this huge, mental road that I'm not even close to figuring out yet. But it's down to like copyright law and FCC legislation and the theft of artists' work, and what does that mean? And I always go back to just going to shows, and being or playing with bands, and vinyl was the thing that put gas in the tank. Like, when bands are at shows and there's your merch table, like, okay, you can go home and put your Spotify on your drive home and enjoy it, but that's not gonna help get the group to the next gig. And so that is where vinyl has me now. And the deeper you go into any passion, or the more you learn about any thing on a deeper level, you continue to see how many atrocities and wrongs have taken place for so many years. And then once it's impossible to unsee that, like theft, especially within the Black artist music community, when going into seeing that, you can't unsee, then that brings a whole different definition to, like, I can't sit still, right? And so that's why vinyl.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Like this concept of people getting ripped off, in pursuit of creating their art is not a new thing. It's not because of the internet, right? Record labels have been ripping off artists, especially Black artists. But there's famous stories around. I remember hearing the Billy Joel's manager stole a bunch of money from him, however many years ago, and like it happens across the musical spectrum. And if anything, I think it's the internet has started to switch the power structure a little bit, because you can own it a little bit better, right? You can, that is the distribution that record labels would. That was their value proposition before, and now you're your own distribution. Essentially, you've got your own megaphone and marketing channels. And so and especially when you bring up places like Bandcamp that are facilitating things and being really good to the community,
absolutely.
And being able to press a small number of records. 300 records was our minimum at Furnace, but I know other places do even fewer than that. And
late cuts are real. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Robin at Red Spade Records. There's a no minimum. I mean, the like the lathe cut scene I've seen really kind of coming together to meet artists where they're at too. So in my opinion, there is no minimum right now
Right.
because you
That's
can get
cool.
such high quality um, physical product to represent yourself in your music, because music is physical. Sound is a physical wave. Like that's why you feel bass. That's like it is. We are physical beings that need to be touched, and we need to be loved, and we need to be felt and to feel. And so to me, um, in my opinion, when it comes to music and sustaining and taking care of oneself and one's family, um, if you this is the sustainable model right now um, for artists, and I think it also impacts our memories too, because when you touch something, when you smell something, then it's automatically going to click a much higher you know like sensory experience to have that long lasting memory to go along with it. Because I mean, the last thing I would want is to have a memory of like me, like an earbud. I don't wear earbuds, but like having an earbud or this fall off, and like my memory with that music is me smelling my like the headphone. Like that's disgusting. So, but
Well,
yeah,
I talked
that's why
with
I'm.
I talked with Rafe in one of my previous interviews, Rafe, the publisher of the Resistor Mag, and
Yeah.
we
Yep.
were
Yep.
talking about mixtapes, cassette tapes, and
Yeah.
how we can all dig those up and we find them and we can remember making them and drawing the art and like filling out the J card and but and we remember those feelings, but we don't think that people have that sort of same thing with a Spotify playlist, right? You don't really remember, you can't get given a Spotify playlist. And, and then I brought up also the notion of food, right? And, food,
Oh,
again,
yeah.
very physical thing. Hopefully we don't, there is Soylent, but, where you just drink your daily meal. But, there's this notion that the perfect meal has as much to do with what the people you're with and what you
Yeah.
did before that on that day. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
fantastic meal in my head. I was in Mexico with my wife, and we had a fantastic day, and it was a wonderful trip overall. And actually it was sort of a hellish day getting there, and then we finally arrive after hours and hours and travails, and it's late at night and the kitchen at the restaurant is closed, and they open for us and they make us exactly what we want. And I've had probably technically better meals, but I was sitting there on the beach in Mexico with my wife after, and that's and I haven't even, so I went through all of that, right? And I didn't even mention what we had, and I do remember what it was, but it doesn't really even matter. That was the perfect meal
Right.
at that time. And so I 100% agree that it has so much to do with these other inputs, and these other inputs creating
Yeah.
memories for you.
The thing, one thing that goes along with that is uh, because I'm not, vinyl is my choice, and I can't speak for anybody else's choices but my own. And, but what I can do is take I can have an opinion, right? And I do have an opinion with streaming, for sure. And in my opinion, mine alone, uh, Black Circle Radio's opinion, I like streaming services are being really lazy. They're being lazy, and that is because I do not believe, and I'm speaking for the streaming industry. I'm not picking out anyone at all, and I'm not saying these streaming industries do a bad job. Well, they do a bad job. I am saying that because they don't pay artists fairly. And so, but one thing that they're not providing is like the gateway drug to getting off streaming, because it never goes away. Like I use it. Okay. Like I don't give a crap. Like everybody uses it. Everybody. It's how you share things. It's how you do. It's how you like. It's a part of a learn. It's just a tool. That's all it is. But you still have to pay for your tools, and people that make the tools still have to get paid. And so, I think that the streaming industry is being really lazy, where I see it as you have this entire record industry where you're now paying, and music industry where you're paying premium subscriptions now to these services, and there's high res files that are claiming that they're doing something different, and I hear that stuff. But what is the way to then bridge someone off of that to go get a record and see what that feels like? I don't understand. I don't. Every record has to be mastered in some way, right? It has a lacquer process or it's lathe cut. And so there's always a physical product. When that process is happening, when a master is getting cut on either a Reco cut lathe or a Neumann or a Scully, why is that lacquer not being digitized at the same time? That is a different sensory experience. It is a different sound because you're having a physical process that didn't take place during the recording and then uploading of like the WAV file or the MP3. And that small twist. Yep, but it's so much further. Then there's like upload, and we gotta have like more server space. And it's just lazy. It's just lazy because it takes a little more time. And in my opinion, what are we in a rush for? And so I kind of see that kind of stuff where the streaming industry could improve, because vinyl is expensive. Like the new releases, that's expensive. But I don't think that that's necessarily an excuse to not get records, because you can get them for a quarter anywhere. Right. And or people will just hand you a stack because they don't want to carry it up their steps anymore. Right. But the physical record industry needs to help facilitate and demand that process of, okay, streamers, like, okay, time to do something together here. Like, this is dumb. So that's where I'm even down to giveaways. Maybe I'm just saying that because of a radio, but like, why is there, okay, subscribe to this playlist, and then once a month we're giving away 100 records. That's 100 records that then whatever streaming service had to did that giveaway, that's 100 records that artist is then profiting off of. Like, there are ways to make it right, and the industry is being lazy. That's what it is, in my thoughts.
And I think there's an obvious imbalance. There's you're making a bunch of money if you're the Taylor Swifts or big names like that. Yep. And there's money out there, right? And they're given Spotify, given $100 million to Joe Rogan, right? So there's money to be had, and of course there's advertising money on the podcast side that they can make. But I think there has to be some sort of I don't know whether it's a tiered system. I'm not here to solve the problem, but it's working at least to some degree for large artists. We've got to figure out how to make it work for smaller artists. And that's what I think, to call out in a good way, one organization, that's where I think Bandcamp has done a great job of marrying the two, right? Whereas, sure, the first thing that you see is buy the digital album, because that's what most people are going to do, of course, and it's reasonably priced. But then right under that, it's buy the vinyl or buy the cassette or buy the CD. And, so and it seems so simple, right? That's where I think I couldn't agree with you more with the laziness, right? It doesn't take all that much. You don't have to, be Spotify and, buy a record pressing plant, because that's a whole different world, as we both know. You just have to.
I don't think I would buy those records.
You just have to give it a little bit more attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
That meaning give the artists sort of sustenance or survival more attention.
And isn't that, speaking on Bandcamp real quick, is it called like Artist Fridays?
Yeah.
That they do.
They've done a series of those.
Yeah, that's really like that. That's not lazy. That is cool. That is sustainability. Like, that's what we're looking for here, right? We want this industry to last. We want new sounds because we as humans crave them. And a lot of times we can't create what our head and our body needs. We find what we need in that moment. And Bandcamp is the example right now that comes to mind. Yes, they're doing a great job with giving directly back to artists.
Yeah,
so
they're literally putting their money where their mouth is, right?
Yes.
in that case,
100%.
Yep. And they're, yeah, I could go on all day about Bandcamp. They're doing a great job. They started with that one off, but now they're doing that, Artist Fridays. I think it's once a month, through the end
Mhm.
of the year. And, with the way the music and concert and live event industry is going, it wouldn't surprise me if they did it throughout 2021 or whenever live music comes back
Yeah.
with gusto.